Hey guys, Pastor Greg Hintz here from the Place Church, and we were able to kick off a great series today. And the series that we kicked off is simply called Night, K-N-I-G-H-T. And what we're looking at spiritual armor for the 21st century. So I thought it'd be good just to sit back and just sort of give a few nuggets throughout the week of what we're talking about and how we can really look and apply this thing back to our story and our life where we are. And in order to really unpack this spiritual armor concept, or this spiritual warfare idea, we're going to the book of Ephesians, chapter 6. And Ephesians is really an incredible book, and it's one that we really can relate to today in our lives. You see, Ephesus was a city. It was a port town. It was kind of a rough place. It was, as they would say, had a reputation. People would talk about Ephesus, and not always in the best way. In fact, they had a slogan: "What happens in Ephesus stays in Ephesus." Now, I'm just kidding about that, but it was a port town. But not only that, it had a reputation of being a place where people would go to worship. Ephesus was actually home to one of the ancient wonders of the world, this temple to Artemis. People would travel from all over to come see it. Well, it was into this port city of Ephesus, into this place that housed this temple, that the Apostle Paul showed up. And the Apostle Paul went to a synagogue and began sharing the good news about Jesus in this synagogue. Well, before he knew it, things got a little rough for him. He was sort of pushed out of that synagogue, but he didn't leave. He stayed in that community, and he rented out a gymnasium, a large teaching area where people would go to learn things. And it says that Paul would work in the day, and in the afternoon he would share in this gymnasium area, and at evening he would work again. And so he would take advantage of the siesta hours, those midday hours, those hot hours of the day, and he would teach people about Jesus. And because of that, it says all the people in this region, in this area, were able to hear the good news of Jesus. That's really exciting. He stayed there for 2 years, and after 2 years, he ended up leaving, but he left Timothy, a disciple of his, someone that he had poured his life into. He left him there in this city of Ephesus. After he left him there, later on, he ended up writing a letter. We know it today as the book of Ephesians. In Ephesians chapter 6, we read about this idea of spiritual warfare, spiritual armor, being strong in the Lord. And in fact, in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10, here's what it says. Finally, so it's at the end of this letter that he had written him, this letter of encouragement, this letter of wisdom, of guidance, of sometimes getting them back on the right track. Sometimes they'd strayed off a little bit, and Paul's moving them back to where they need to be. And then we reach 6, verse 10, finally. And it says, finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. And really, I think that's a good spot to just stop and really think about this week. Take your stand against the devil's schemes. You know, when I read that, I read the reality that the devil does have a scheme. The devil does have a plan. In fact, we talked about that today. And in fact, if you want to see that message, you can just see it. Just click, it's either up here or down here. Just click away and feel free to watch that. But in our lives, specifically individually, God has a plan, and the devil has a scheme, has an idea, a way that he wants to pull you off track, to move you away from where you should be, where you need to be. And it says, put on the full armor. Why? So that you can take your stand against these schemes. Listen, I want you to think about this week. To take your stand against the devil's scheme, what does that mean to you? What area in your life needs to be addressed, focused, looked at right now? Where would you see the enemy trying to do a scheme, trying to pull you off track, to pull you somewhere where you shouldn't be? And I want to encourage this week, take your stand. Next week, we're going to talk about how you do that, because the way you do that is you put on the full armor of God. And that's what we're going to be unpacking. That's what we're going to be talking about. What is this armor? What does it look like? And how on earth do we put it on? How do we live the life that God would have us? Live a victorious life. Stand victorious over the devil's schemes. There is a way. There is a plan. And we're going to get there. But until then, God bless you. And remember, stand strong in the Lord.